Excellent. I think we are good to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Procurify Spotlight. This is our twice per year product showcase. And the idea of this session is to recap the key things that were released over the previous 6 months and then tease a little bit about what's coming next. And 2026 has been a particularly busy one for our team. And this past week was no exception. On Monday, we rolled out a completely new look for Procurify. So if you've logged in or visited our website, you've probably already seen it. A refreshed logo, a warmer color palette, cleaner fonts across the board, a brand that aligns with the AI age that we are firmly in now. Monday was also the launch of our Agentic procurement platform, which we are so excited to talk more about today. Before we jump into it, I want to take a moment though to thank our incredible customer community, many of whom are on this call right now. We were again named the number one mid-market procure-to-pay software by G2 in their summer 2026 report, and G2 is driven exclusively by customer reviews. So just want to say right up front a massive thank you to everyone who shared your experience with Procurify in G2 this year and helped us earn this recognition once again. It means so much to everyone at Procurify. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. First, this webinar is being recorded, which you should see, and we will share out that recording in a follow-up email in the next day or so. We will also have a live Q&A period, so please add your questions at any time during the webinar in the Q&A box, and we will circle back on them at the end of the presentation. And finally, because we host this spotlight every 6 months, we want to keep making them better for you every time. So you are going to be redirected to a survey when this Zoom webinar closes, and we would really appreciate hearing your feedback. You're going to be hearing from lots of folks on the Procurify product team today, including our Chief Product and Technology Officer, Jonathan, who I'm going to be passing it over to in just a minute. He's going to talk about how we've entered a new agentic frontier for procurement. Then we're going to move on to highlight some of the recent releases that help you get the answers that you need about your spend right when you need them. Then we'll move into a section on how we are making intake frictionless for everyone. A particularly exciting session here, given the product release that we had earlier this week, which we'll get into. Then we're going to talk about our invoice to pay portfolio and how we've brought an agentic engine to that. And we're going to finish out with some new and upcoming releases that help our customers stay on top of spend as they scale. And now I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan.
Well, thank you, Josh. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to share some of the innovations we've been building, and more importantly, how they're going to help procurement, finance, and operations teams get even more value from Procurify. Our mission has always been simple. It's to make purchasing easier, give you greater control over spend, provide the visibility and insights you need, and strengthen compliance and governance from intake to pay. Over the last decade, we've helped thousands of organizations manage billions of dollars in procurement spend. That experience has shown us where teams lose time, where processes break down, and where technology can have the biggest impact. And today, we're entering our next chapter. Procurify is the agentic procurement platform, one where intelligent agents work alongside your team to eliminate manual work, accelerate decisions, and multiply your team's impact. At the foundation is a new multi-agent architecture with purpose-built agents designed for every stage of the spend lifecycle. And these aren't just generic AI assistants, they're procurement specialists. They understand your purchasing history, preferred suppliers, and spend policies, so the guidance they provide is grounded in how your organization actually operates. And while they help automate work and guide decisions, your policies, approvals, and governance remain firmly in your control. That means your teams can move fast while maintaining the visibility and control you expect. So that's the technology. But what does agentic actually mean for your day-to-day? We think it comes down to three outcomes. First is greater speed. Agents keep work moving, simplifying intake, streamlining AP, reducing manual effort, and removing bottlenecks. Second is better visibility. Agents surface the right insights at the right time, helping you spot opportunities and make decisions with greater confidence. And third, it's new ways of working. Instead of navigating menus or remembering where to click, you can describe what you want. The platform will increasingly adapt to how you work and not the other way around. And that's what excites us the most. This isn't just about adding AI features, it's about making procurement dramatically easier and more intuitive for everyone who uses it. So you'll experience agents across the platform in two ways. Some you'll interact with directly, and others will work behind the scenes on your behalf. The conversational agents help you get work done and answer questions using natural language. For example, guided intake helps employees submit requests quickly and accurately. Spend Analyst helps finance and procurement teams understand their spend simply by asking questions. And behind the scenes, embedded agents work within the workflows you already use every day. Whether it's coding purchases, processing invoices, or identifying exceptions before they become problems, they help to automate repetitive tasks so your team can spend less time on manual work. Throughout today's session, you'll see these agents in action, along with several other innovations we're bringing to the platform. Many of these new capabilities are a direct result of the feedback you've shared with us, so thank you for continuing to help shape where Procurify goes next. So with that, let me hand it over to Amelia to get us started.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan, for providing such a great overhead look at our agentic procurement platform. So starting off, I'm excited to chat through features we've released and what's coming soon to help your teams get the answers you need within Procurify. So first, new enhancements to Spend Insights, our analytics platform that sits within Procurify. Available now is a report that allows you to visualize budget versus actual spend. This tab is easily accessed throughout alongside your other reports, which we'll demo in a moment. So this enhancement came highly requested by customers as it allows budget owners to get clear visualizations of their data without the need for a third-party tool. You can see committed spend side by side with allocated budgets, perform the same drill downs as other parts of Spend Insights to learn more about what is driving variances to gain more visibility into your company's spend patterns. Next slide. So speaking of spend patterns, we've also made enhancements to Spend Analyst, our AI agent that helps you understand your organization's data. Spend Analyst has a conversational interface where you can ask questions to get quick insights. With this new release, it now handles more complex questions and can explain the full story behind your data. You can ask about why spend spiked in a specific month and conduct both trend analysis and forecasts, to name a few examples. It not only answers your questions, interpreting the data that's available, it also generates a report that shows all data sources so the accuracy can also be verified. I'll now be passing it over to Anand to give a demo on these new enhancements to Spend Insights.
Thanks, Amelia. Let me start by sharing my screen. Hope everyone can see the Spend Insights window that I've shared. Cool. Hey everyone, really excited to share what we've been building and excited to show something that related to conversational agents. To start with, I wanted to give a brief about the budget versus spend report that recently rolled out. If you own budgets, you know that your budget is a plan and your spend is the truth. This report shows you the gap between them live for every department. In addition to showing the gap, it helps you catch drift as it happens, while there's still budget left to move. So what I mean by that is, at a high level, this you can think of it as a drill down report with multiple levels. You get a consolidated view of all the budgets that you've configured. In addition, for each timeline, we show you what was the committed budget and what was remaining. And we recognize that different teams view different committed spend differently. And so we have broken committed into different buckets like billed, purchased, approved, and expensed. So this is where it gets interesting though. So all of this is a consolidated view. If you take a step further and drill down, we show the same data for each and every budget that is configured in the system. What's interesting here is that the plan for Marketing Toronto was to spend 45K, but the team ended up spending 52.3K. Earlier, if you had to figure out what went wrong or if you wanted to identify the transaction that caused this drift, you had to export all your data about spend from one of the modules and then export data about orders and transactions associated with this budget, and then do some manual analysis using an external tool like a spreadsheet. This report is meant to relieve that pain exactly. With this report, you don't have to export any data at all. We show you all the transactions that roll up to the specific committed spend right below the aggregated view. So in this case, if I wanted to find out what's went wrong with Marketing Toronto budget, I just have to scroll down and find all the marketing expenses from the Toronto team. And as you can see here, the sponsored campaign ended up being 18.5K, which is almost thrice as all the other items. This lets you identify drifts as it happens and allows you to take corrective actions. And in addition to this, if you have further questions about, let's say, some of the root causes, or if you want to do things like uh, predictions or analysis, you can always leverage our latest Spend Analyst, which is powered by conversational AI. To save some time, I've already asked Spend Analyst some questions about some of the detailed reports that we have. So I've asked it to explain about accruals. It not only gives me a different view based on the data it has access to, which you can download and access from external tools, it also gives you reasoning as to why accruals matter and some of the insights associated with the data that you have. So to close and give a recap, you can track budget versus spend drift as it happens, drill down to individual transactions, and ask for further insights using Spend Analyst. All of this is available in the budget versus spend report. Thank you. Back to Amelia.
All right, thanks, Anand. I'll just wait for the screen to come back up. Awesome, next slide. So this ties in very well to what's coming soon for Spend Insights. So coming soon is a new report that will show you POB to bill visibility. You saw we launched budget versus actual spend just now, and there will be another tab available that maps the purchase order to their associated bills and also show you the billing status per PO. So this release is going to make it even easier for teams to catch those bottlenecks and keep the process moving. Next slide. Now, still on the topic of getting the information you need, but moving away from Spend Insights, you may have noticed a new command bar at the top of every screen within Procurify. So we launched this to bring you our Smart Search feature back in May. With Smart Search, you can find any order, bill, vendor, or request by searching its record, ID, keyword, or using plain language. This is especially helpful for when you're looking for items but don't know all the specifics, so you don't have to go through message histories or engage in the cumbersome process of retracing your steps. Passing it to Anand again for another demo.
Thanks, Amelia. So I'm back again. So to give you a little bit of context about why Smart Search, if you use Procurify on a day-to-day basis, you know your way around different modules that exist. And if you're trying to find something that is concerned about an order request, then you know how to use the search module and all the search filters associated with it. But if you're not someone who uses Procurify on a regular basis, then you may have to go through some learning and get to know these filters. What we have done is to try to relieve that pain by having a command bar at the top of every page in Procurify. With this, you don't have to worry about where a specific record lives in or what the status is. You can simply come in and type what you want in plain English. I can say that something like find my packaging tape order from June. What Procurify AI does is it tries to parse your query into identifying what is the right module where this particular request lives and brings back results. In this case, I wanted to find a specific order because maybe I'm a warehouse supplier. I do remember ordering packaging tape, but I don't remember what else I ordered with this. So I just mentioned packaging tape and it brings back the whole order. Now I can simply go here and duplicate the order. So that is one scenario. The other scenario I wanted to cover was when you don't know where exactly the record lives in, you can simply come in and say a query as broad as things like Amazon. So Amazon could mean the vendor Amazon or catalog items that are from Amazon or contracts with Amazon. You can find all records associated with Amazon all from one place. So, and this global command bar can do more things, which I'm excited to show next. Thank you. Back to Amelia.
All right. Thanks, Anand. So screen. Yes. The ability to get your teams the data they need efficiently is a huge priority for us, as exemplified with the launches we've just covered and also what's new. So we're now going to showcase how Procurify is changing the game to support your teams through the intake process. All right, next slide. Very exciting, guided intake. So guided intake is Procurify's first conversational AI agent that built a fully compliant order request from intent. and it was launched earlier this week. You'll see in a moment how it truly changes how teams can work through the order request process, especially for your average requesters who are unfamiliar with spend policies and would benefit from the support of the agent to build orders that are error-free to mitigate the back and forth of resubmissions. So this feature takes the learning curve out of the order request process by understanding what items are needed in the order and pulling from spend policies, history, catalogs to surface the options that fit your needs. You maintain control the whole time, and if all looks good, guided intake builds the request with the account codes and order descriptions pre-filled. All that's needed is to verify everything is correct and click submit. So I don't want to spend too much time on the features because I'm sure you're all interested in just seeing how this works with your own eyes. So I'll now just pass it back to Anand to do that demo.
Thanks, Amelia. So one last time, I'm happy to share my screen and talk a little bit about guided intake. So first of all, creating an order request in Procurify is pretty easy, and it's going to get even more easier as Riley is going to share his updates. Where guided intake comes in is a couple of steps earlier. Typically, a requester's buying journey can be divided into three parts. The first two parts happen outside of any procure-to-pay system. First is they figure out what they need to buy by doing some research, either online or by talking to their colleagues. Next, they identify where they need to buy the thing from. And once they figure out these things, then only they can come to Procurify and create an order request, which is the how. But if they are not procurement experts, it is likely that they end up making non-compliant purchases or their order requests get rejected. And this is where guided intake comes in. Maybe I can show you by stating what I mean. I mean, for instance, instead of knowing what to buy, you can come in here, use the same command bar, and mention a goal. In this case, maybe I'm trying to onboard a new hire and I need some equipment to make sure they have a good workstation. So as you can see here, the global search bar now understands that I have a goal and offers to help me build this request. First and foremost, it wants to make this a compliant request and hence confirms my department and location. Since the first step is identifying what to buy to meet my goal, it helps me right then and there. It gives me options like if I have to onboard a new hire and equip their workstation, I probably need something like a laptop, monitor, desk, or accessories. To save some time, I'm going to say that I need one monitor and I prefer LG. So now it's going to ask me a few follow-up questions to make sure it has all the context and help me identify the right vendor for this purchase. And it's always okay to say no preference if you don't know the answer for something. And I think it's asking me when I need this by in 2 weeks. I can enter my responses in natural language. So it asks a maximum of 3 or 4 questions to understand my request or my goal completely. And what it is doing in the background is that it's trying to see if my request for monitor can be met using something that is in the internal catalog. And it is also parallelly making sure that my preference for LG monitor, is it a company-wide adopted method to buy monitors or not? So this is where the gap comes in if you're not a procurement expert. If you don't know whom we buy monitors usually from, you end up guessing the vendor and submitting a request, which might end up getting rejected. But in this case, what happens is the AI agent knows and has details about past purchases from the same department, and it has details like access to denial reasons. It knows which type of order requests get rejected and uses that to guide this requester in this case. In this case, as I suspected, LG monitors are currently unapproved because the preferred vendor for Dell is preferred vendor for monitor is Dell, and it knows this detail because previous orders with Dell or LG as the preferred vendor has been rejected. And without this, it would have been a denied request and a week of back and forth. With it, it helps me make a compliant request right from the get-go without even reaching an approver. In addition, it gives me rationale as to why this is the suggested pick, but it doesn't stop me from making my own purchase. If I want, I can still go ahead and order LG and talk to the approver. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and add this to my request. Just 1 second. So this is step 1 and step 2, where the guided intake agent helped me understand what I need to buy and where I need to buy from. And If you're not procurement experts, again, what happens is you wonder sometimes what is the right account code, what is the preferred vendor, and all of these things. Guided intake helps you with that portion as well. So it takes all the information that you've given it as information and utilizes some of the agents that we have seen with AI intake for orders, where it automatically matches your purchase to the right vendor. It automatically associates it with the right account code. So your job as a requester goes from guessing or entering these details to verifying everything makes sense. So, in short, guided intake is an extension of your procurement team, steering every request towards a compliance before even it reaches an approver. The requester on day one itself behaves like someone from a purchasing team because they have all the knowledge a purchasing expert would have. That's guided intake. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Anand. So you can actually learn more about guided intake on our website. And if you'd like to see the demo again at your own pace, or if you want to see it or share it with someone else on the team who couldn't make this call, we'll provide the link to the self-guided tour in the chat for our Nevadic demo. All right. Yes. All right, moving on to other items that we've recently released to support the intake process. So first, we've introduced a tab under your submitted orders to show their status. So this helps you gain visibility on where these orders sit in their workflows, and you can get clear estimates of timeframes as an order moves from submission to approval to completion. Next slide, please. We've also redesigned Procurify's order request page. So this redesign was thoughtfully mapped out to provide a simpler, faster, more intuitive experience. In this page, requests can be created manually or with AI quote extraction by uploading your quotes. You can also save drafts with incomplete items, upload multiple quotes at once, and we've also introduced the functionality to bulk edit line items across vendor, count codes, and custom fields in a single action. So this new experience is available in the latest Procurify plan alongside our classic experience, and I encourage you to take a look and try out the new experience if you haven't already done so, since you can switch between the two. I'll now pass it to Riley to do a demo to show you about how this all looks and feels.
Great, thanks Amelia, and good afternoon everyone. Let me just share my screen and give you a quick tour of our new intake experience. Okay, so first off, to find the new intake experience, you're going to navigate to where you normally would to find an order request in Procurify. If it's your first time, you might land on the classic page by default, but you can find the new one right at the top right here with the Try It Now button. Now, this was a very intentional ground up redesign based on the way that we see people actually use this part of Procurify, so that non-expert users, who are the vast majority of users of this particular screen, can be confident putting in requests on day one, but also so that power users, many of you on the call, can build large, complex orders faster and more efficiently than before. We're building this in multiple phases, but as Amelia mentioned, the first phase supports manual item entry as well as our AI quote extraction workflows. If you haven't seen it yet, this workflow allows you to upload a quote or actually even a screenshot of an order. Our AI agents find the items, pricing, and other details on the document. They match it to one of your vendors that you've got set up in Procurify, and they assign each item an account code. Now, so that is the AI quote extraction experience, but this new design makes editing items significantly faster and more flexible. Let's talk about faster first. You can now click anywhere on an item to open it up, make a quick change, and click anywhere off an item to auto-save those changes. If you click on a specific field on the card, like the SKU field in this case, will bring you right to the field so you don't even have to click into it, make your edits, click off, and they're auto-saved. So significantly faster editing experience. As Amelia also mentioned, editing is now significantly more flexible. If I'm manually editing an item, with as little as an item name, I can save just an incomplete item so that I can start sketching out my order request draft as I'm still gathering information like pricing and other details. You can also now add additional quotes to the same order request. So I can upload another quote here, even though I've already got one in this request, and the same workflow will be kicked off, finding the line items, matching them to a vendor, and giving each item a GL account code. And those items will simply be appended to the bottom of my order request here. And that's handy for for scenarios where you might have multiple documents with line items for the same order, or even if you want to combine documents from different vendors on the same order request, you can now do that using our AI quote extraction workflow. Now, as you can see, I've got a fairly large order request here with 14 items. We've also added significant efficiency for larger order requests with bulk editing. So you can select one or multiple or even all of the items on your order request, click Edit Details, and assign the same custom field values as well as the vendor and account code to all of them simultaneously. So instead of manually editing 14 items in this case, just a few clicks and they're all edited and up to speed. So, as mentioned, this is just the first phase of our new order request experience. Coming soon, we're going to be adding more AI automation, punchouts, catalogs, and much more. But right now, I'm excited to give you a very quick preview of the next release that's going to be coming out in just the next few weeks, agent-assisted order requests. So, we recognize that choosing the right account code is something that a lot of requesters struggle with. And getting it wrong can be a frustrating experience for everyone involved and cause delays. But as you just saw, when you upload a quote, our AI agents automatically assign an account code to each item. Well, now we've brought that same AI agent to manually entered items, or really any item that didn't derive from a quote. So as soon as I enter the name of an item, you can see right down here, our new AI agent gets to work on assigning and selecting the right account code based on the item name, the description of your account codes themselves, and critically, your historical orders for similar items and how they've been coded. And that's critical because it means that this AI actually understands your organization's context and gets smarter the more you use Procurify. That said, if you're thinking about changing your account code, you can, of course, always open the field. You can see other recommendations from the agent, maybe a second and even third best pick. And you can see its rationale for why it's providing those recommendations, followed, of course, by your full chart of accounts. So requesters don't need to be accounting experts to code an item correctly. The agent will take the first pass, but the final decision always stays with the person making the request. I'll stop my screen share now. We'll go back to slides and we'll summarize a couple of things that are coming soon to order requests. Next slide, please. So as you just saw, we're going to be speeding up order requests and making them more accurate on the first submission by automating that question that a lot of requesters struggle with most, the account code field. Another item that we're going to be adding soon, which I didn't show, is that we're going to be expanding the capability of our quote extraction workflow so the AI fills in your custom fields based on information that's already on the quote. This will further reduce manual work, making the process even faster and easier for your team. Next slide, please. And as mentioned, next up, we'll be bringing over all of the other ways of putting together an order request, like punchouts, catalogs, item history, and CSV import. So that is what's coming next to the intake experience in Procurify on desktop. But now I'll pass it back to Amelia for one more exciting announcement about order requests on the Procurify mobile app.
Next slide, please. Nice. So the last item in the section that we're announcing is that Punchouts is coming to the mobile app. So when this is released, requesters will be able to shop from their vendor catalogs directly in-app. And as previously mentioned, we've made and continue to make more enhancements to the order request experience, but that is not just limited to the experience on web. So we recognize that users out in the field, they need to submit requests through mobile because they're away from the desk. And we want to ensure that mobile app continues to improve. That's a huge priority for us, so stay tuned for this as well. Now I'll pass it off to Matt to talk about AP.
Well, you've heard how we're automating request to purchase, and completing the procure to pay loop is the invoice to pay process. So we'll go ahead and talk about how we're automating some of these features. So just with AI, AI can only be as good as the data that is capturing. So the first piece is we're working on how do we extract the data? How do we remove some of the manual entry from the manual invoice bill entry? And then the next step is how do we make sure that we're coding those bills confidently? And then how do we improve the high volume payment runs, and how do we make that more efficient so it's clear for payments? So the first feature that we launch is the Agentic AI for invoice extraction. So now we're able to pull the information from your invoices through AI. Launched this feature back in June, and we've actually seen a dramatic improvement in terms of what it did to our previous system. So now the AI invoice is able to pull 99% of the key invoice details, 65% increase in the on-bill rate, so how many line item details are being pulled automatically from the AI. And the key invoice details are also 90% accurate, so there's less manual fixing on your end. So what's coming up next is actually the coding and the GL coding for non-PO invoices. This is coming soon. It's going to be launched the end of this month in beta. So if you are interested in leveraging AI more in invoice processing, reach out to your CSM to activate this feature. Just like you saw with the uploads for quotes, we are also launching invoice upload for AI. So if you're like me and you download your invoices, you can now just drag them into the upload feature, and the AI will now be able to pull this. So you don't have to email all the invoices through the invoice inbox. And you can upload up to 10 invoices with this new feature, which will be slated to come at the end of August. And so if you ever catch a discrepancy when you're preparing your bills, you can also use this new feature where you're able to edit bills inline. And what I'm going to do is pass it over to Fred to show you this feature live, as well as a new upcoming release.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Matt. I'm Fred. I'm the product manager for AP. Everything you just heard about inline editing, I'm going to show you live right now. And you'll notice it's running inside a redesigned create bill experience. That'll come back to it at the end, because that's another exciting piece that we're releasing later this month. So let's say here, I just emailed a PDF. Our agents already extracted the data from the invoice, as you can see here. And also, our PO matching agent already matched the invoice items with the PO. And for the remaining ones, the GL coding agent already auto-code the remaining ones correctly here with the account code. So what if I need to make some changes? Historically, editing a line item meant to click on this three-dot menu here and opening a pop-up, making changes, saving. It took you 4 to 5 clicks for every single line item. And you all told us clearly it was too mouse intensive and it was slowing you guys down. So we reimagined it. Now, with just one click on a cell, you can start editing them. So let's say this chair is actually a purple chair. I can quickly click on it. It will save in real time. And also an exciting part too is I can navigate from one field to the other using tab, just like you do with a spreadsheet. And here comes my favorite part. As I'm editing this, our PO matching alerts update you in real time. So let's say here instead of 189, it's actually 199. You can see in real time the instant feedback here that I'm $10 overbilled. Again, I can save it and you can still see it here. Another exciting piece is now you can bulk update selected line items. So let's say I need to bulk update a tax or account code for specific line items. I can just select them and go to more actions here, and I can apply account codes and taxes from here. So this is inline editing, a flexibility of a spreadsheet, but with the control of 2- and 3-way matching embedded to it. It is live in your account today. Cool. I'll now zoom out a little bit and talk about the experience around those edits that it's changing to. And that's what's coming later this month. We heard you loud and clear that comparing the invoice with the bill was work intensive and required a lot of scrolling, going up and down to compare the invoice with the bill items. and we heard you loud and clear, and we imagined that experience as well. The Create Bill page now is a full screen page with a two-pane layout. Your invoice is anchored on the left. The bill form is anchored on the right. What's cool is the panes scroll independently, so the document always stays visible to you when you need it. The bill items here, they work almost the same as before, but you can see here that now the line totals are sticky on the right and always visible to you. That makes your life so much easier when you need to compare your line items with your invoice. Now, if you need more space, right? Let's say you need to see the entire bill items table. We made that very easy for you with one click. You can hide the invoice preview and have the full bill item table visible to you. If you need to go back and compare specific line items again, you can quickly expand again your invoice viewer and start comparing again the invoice with the bill items. So that wraps up my demo. Inline editing again is in your hands today. The full side-by-side redesign starts rolling out later this month. Together, they make bill entry faster and more accurate, which is exactly what you've been asking us for. So thank you, and back to you, Matt.
All right. Thanks, Fred, for the demo of side-by-side and inline editing. So like Fred said, and what he demoed was side-by-side editing. If you want to try out this feature early, this feature has actually just been announced in beta. So we're going to be setting a release later today, but we wanted to announce it first here in this webinar. So if you're interested in testing out this feature, just reach out to your CSM and we'll enable this feature for you. And you'll be able to look at your invoices while making edits if you need to for bill pay. So the next thing that we're launching is actually another enhancement to inline editing. We're going to be releasing the ability to edit custom fields in your inline edit as well. So look out for this feature as also in the end of this quarter. So the last thing that completes the invoice to pay is obviously payments. So Procurify released a bunch of payment options this year. A lot of them are to do with processing high amounts of bills. And to demo what some of these features, I'm going to introduce David to show you how you can process high volume runs.
Hi everyone. So let me do my screen share here. Okay, yeah. So hi everyone. I'm David, the product manager responsible for bill payments. So imagine I'm an AP clerk and it's time for my weekly payment run. So I'll start in accounts payable, under payments, and I'll go to pay bills. So everything you see here are vendor bills that are fully approved and ready to be paid. Other bill types are excluded. I can either pay a single bill or I can process up to 100 bills in one go. In this case, let me run the whole batch. So I've selected 15 bills, but you probably noticed that I don't have 15 payments. And that's because we automatically batch bills from the same vendor into one payment. So for example, Amazon has 4 bills and that's batched into one payment. Staples at 2 and that's one payment and so on. So this gives us 8 payments total. We also prepare across currencies within the same run. So you'll see payments in USD, in British pounds, in euros, and in yen side by side. And before I change anything, I can also verify what's bundled into each payment. So let me click into Acme Core, for example, which has 2 bills in this payment. And so if I click into all the bills, what opens up is the invoice right next to the bill details, right? For example, you can check who created it, all the line items within that bill, as well as the auto log. I can confirm that the payment matches the invoice exactly, and also use the arrow keys to navigate to the next bill. And then I can hit escape to close. Next, I'll walk through the payment types that we support on this run. So the first is paying via linked bank account. And we support ACH payments, of course, like Amazon here. You can also make a payment from a pre-funded financial account, Procurify financial account, instead of a linked bank account. And we can, of course, also support paying vendors by physical check, like how Staples is set up. Every vendor will carry its own set of saved payment methods. For any foreign currency payments, you see that an approximate USD amount, since every payment will be funded from your USD bank account, and we show the converted amount automatically at the real-time exchange rate. And if you rather settle a payment outside of Procurify, what we can do here is record it as an external payment. So taking this Acme Corp payment, for example. So what we do is we create the record of the payment here, but we're not going to move the money, right? So instead, the payment record will sync directly to your accounting software, such as NetSuite, or be exported via CSV, and you can pay it at within your ERP or at the bank. So essentially, what you can do is you can choose for every payment whether Procurify disperses the funds or you settle elsewhere. For anything that applies to the whole run, I do have bulk controls at the top as well. So for example, I can set every payment to either process on final approval, which will send all of them out right away for processing as soon as the final approval is granted, or I can set them all to run on a single date. So for example, let me pick the 29th, and you'll see that the processing date has all been set. I can also bulk set the payment source as well. We are aggressive with the defaults and pre-fill as many fields as possible in order to save the AP clerk time. So for example, if there's only one approver and they're pre-selected for you. And with the approver fields all set, I'm ready to click submit. But before the batch goes out, I can do a final once over. So there are 15 bills, 8 vendors, batch and day payments totaling $51,000 and change. But let's say I actually want to keep this run under $50,000. And right now we're just a little bit over that. So instead of submitting, let me go back and drop this Cintas payment and hit discard. So now, the run looks good. It's under 50K, and I'm going to send it off for approval. Oops. Here. There we go. So switching over to the approver view now, and this is of course an important control point. Preparing a run and approving it are two distinct steps within our platform, owned by different people. And you can stack as many approval layers as you need. So as the approver, I see the 7 payments waiting for me. I can bulk approve them, or I can bulk deny them, or bulk move them back to draft. With multiple approval layers, I also can see the next approver that's in line. And here, since the only second level approver is Ted, everything will automatically route to him. I can also inspect any payment first as well before approving. So let me click into Amazon Japan, and I can verify that it's paying from the linked bank account over the local Japanese rail, arriving in 2 to 4 days, business days, with the vendor's bank account details that's on file here. And also the USD estimate refreshes at this current rate. So the $250,000 yen payment shows its latest approximate amount. So once I'm comfortable, I can go back out here and set the bulk approve, which will send the run to Ted. And with Ted's final approval, the payments will process and the funds are released. And that's all for the bill pay demo. I'll hand it over now to Tony.
Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. I'm Tony, the product manager looking at our integrations and product platform. I'll share a little bit of what's happening in our work for integrations and scaling for the future. First thing I want to share that's coming tomorrow is a new centralized custom fields settings page. We're bringing our custom fields together so they have clear definitions. This new area introduces the concepts of line item and header level fields. Existing request catalog items and API items become these new line item custom fields, whereas existing PO fields become header level custom fields. All other existing workflows and coding or any downstream reporting stays the same. This is our first step in improving our custom fields, and more to come in the future. A higher custom field limit from the existing 10 is also now available for those more complex organizational reporting needs. Speak to your CSM to learn more. Next, I want to share a little bit about what we've been doing with our ERP integrations in the first half of the year. We've improved our field mapping options for a more holistic workflow from Procurify to your ERP. We've added mapping options such as PO numbers, bill notes, and opened up more fields to be mapped to as well, such as item descriptions. For NetSuite users, we've also added more subsidiary mapping options, such as inferring your subsidiary from a location and simplifying how subsidiaries need to be entered into Procurify. A major feature we've also launched is mark bills as synced. If a bill's status ever goes out of sync with your ERP for whatever reason, you can now manually mark a bill as synced to make sure what's in Procurify matches exactly what's in your ERP. We've also added more visibility into who synced a bill and what the ERP ID is for better auditing and reconciliation. Lastly, we've done a lot of work under the hood to also ensure integrations continue to be stable and reliant. Next, I want to share two more things that are coming up. The first one is an improvement to our integrations. If you ever had to create a PO or bill urgently, but stuck waiting on an ERP setup or sync for a specific vendor, we're solving for exactly that. We're introducing the ability to sync vendors from Procurify to your ERPs so new vendor workflows can start directly in Procurify. That means whenever a vendor is created in Procurify, it will automatically also be created in your ERP, eliminating the need for any duplicated setup or jumping between two systems. The vendors will also be immediately be ready to use on any POs and bills, and those documents will also be available for syncing right away. The last thing I want to share that's coming later is our centralized multi-entity management initiative. A lot of organizations using Procurify right now are multi-entity businesses, but we're taking our management capabilities to the next level. We're introducing a solution that will continue to allow separation, but without any silos. So transactions for each entity continue to be separate, but things like vendors, account codes, users, or other centralized data can be shared. We're also introducing the ability to centralize operations, so there's no more switching between different workplaces, spaces just to get things done. Whether it's requests, approvals, processing AP, or making payments across different entities, you'll be able to do it all in a single place. And lastly, our new solution allows you to see across the whole business, so you can see and report on all of your spend across different entities to make better spend decisions. We're building this in partnership with our multi-entity customers. If that's your world, please reach out or drop any questions in the Q&A. That's it on the scaling integration side. I'll pass it back to Josh.
Perfect. Thank you, Tony. So before we get into the Q&A, I want to just spend a minute talking about how you can keep up to date with Procurify. So I have a couple slides here very quickly. If you haven't yet asked your question that you wanted to get to, please submit it now in the Q&A or in the chat. I know there's been a lot of folks answering questions for folks in the chat. If someone hasn't answered your question, feel free to post it again to make sure that we catch it, so that when I get to the Q&A, I can make sure that I ask that question. So yeah, submit those now. And a few other things here. First, to stay up to date on all of our product releases, you can check out the Procurify changelog. This launched earlier this year, and this is our source of truth for the things that we are shipping externally. So if something is new and exciting, this is the place that you can go to make sure that you stay up to date on the latest. And if you are a current Procurify customer and you want to dig into anything that you've seen today, anything that you found in the changelog, or anything else, reach out to your customer success manager. They would be more than happy to dig into all the things that we talked about today, or anything else to help make sure that you are being successful in your procurement efforts. And if you are not yet a Procurify customer, I want to encourage you to check out our 2026 Buyer's Guide. It's going to help you understand the market landscape and make sure that you are making the right software choice for your organization. So it presents it all, the things you need to evaluate to make sure that you are making an informed choice, just to help guide that decision making. So those are three things to make sure that you're keeping up to date on everything Procurify and some assets to help you better enable yourself and your organization as you explore procurement solutions. I want to thank you all for taking the time. We had a huge turnout today. Really fantastic to see the level of engagement across our customer community here. So thank you all so much for taking the time. Thank you to our presenters, our product marketers, our product managers for doing all of these demos and for building some incredible things over the past 6 months. And there's a lot of exciting things coming in the next 6 months and beyond, as we've talked about now. So thank you all, and we hope to see you again at future webinars, including the next Spotlight webinar in just a few months away. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.